Good morning, Facebook, friends, family, people I don't know yet, strangers. People that like me, people don't like me, all of you. Good morning to all of you. I am not holding no grudges. You got to deal with it, not me. A lot going on. A lot going on right now in this world. I hope, uh, I hope people are paying attention. Uh, a lot of stuff as far as weather and geography and so forth going on. A lot of floods happening here lately. Um, Stuff that is actually really and truly unnatural is going on. The way our weather's being done, you know, the earthquakes, tsunamis because of earthquakes, um, volcanoes erupting, volcanoes that have been dormant for years and years and years and years are starting to show signs of life again. Temperatures people think are unnormal, but for the most part they are normal. You got to go back way back in history and in the records to see what actually isn't normal, what is. But anyway, it's been a while. Had a lot going on, a lot on my mind. I've been kind of quiet, working on some things. Uh, Ministry school, stuff like that. I'm trying to get finished up on my paperwork to get started with that. Um, the Book of Revelations in the Bible. A lot of people don't study it, don't want to look at it because they've heard how scary things are going to be in the end times. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not going to get up here and preach about how bad things are going to be and what you're going to see and so forth and so on because I honestly don't know it all. None of us do. But I will urge you, whether you're a Christian or not, whether you read the Bible or not, I'd like to urge you to take time to pick one up and look and read the book of Revelations about end times. And I know a lot of people are just like myself. Over the years, you've heard all the time, the end times are coming, end times are coming. And, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, nothing, the earth's still here and people are still living and end times hadn't come yet. Well, the Bible itself is a story. It's a timeline. And to read things through the Bible and have your eyes open at the things going on in this world, it really is a timeline. If you can't see it, then I don't know what you're reading or seeing, because the Bible speaks of wars, talk of wars, and speaks of the weather, different things that's going to happen as far as flooding, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, so forth, so on. I mean, it's literally spelled out in the Bible as far as how things are going to be in the process of ending, and it's extremely hard to disregard what you read in the Bible and not believe the things that are described compared to the way the world is right now and the things we're seeing and going through. It's real hard not to believe it. You know, and the Bible isn't some book that somebody just came up with in the last couple of years. The Bible's been around a really, really long time, and things that's happened that were wrote in the Bible that came true. Many things still coming true. I believe every word in the Bible, although the difference in me and a lot of people is I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in God's word. It's in my heart. It's in my mind. And therefore, it isn't hard for me to read it and understand and believe it because I see it and I know it's there. I know it's in my heart. I see and feel it daily. So basically, what I wanted to do with this video is bring forward the book of Revelations in the New Testament. It's the last book in the Bible. And if you've never read it or you read around it per se, in other words, you've kind of skipped reading the book of Revelations, I strongly urge you to start getting into it. And you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, there are a lot of different religions. But out of all those religions, how many have actually foreseen the future and be right? You go to your different religions and different palm readers and card readers and so forth and so on. How many of them predicted these floods? How many of them predicted the earthquakes, the tsunamis, the amount of death that's happening left and right? It's not just disasters that are causing this death. Is people turning on each other as well. Locally to me, Berkeley County, we've had multiple shootings lately, which we've had them for a good while now, but I don't know, it just seems like it's a slight uptick of them going on, and it's out of stupidity that it's happening. It's not that someone is infringing on someone's life as far as trying to take their life or stealing their material things or trying to take freedoms from them. It's nothing like that. It's just gang violence, It's young people growing up the wrong way, not having any home training, watching too much television and things that are put out through television and movies and the music that's being listened to. All of these things are full of violence anymore. Video games. I used to play video games myself. I enjoyed some of them, and some of them were, SOCOM and Call of Duty and so forth, stuff like that, zombie games, stuff like that. And the thing is, it starts off, oh, it's just a game, something to have fun with. And then this younger generation, because they do nothing besides play games and watch these movies and listen to certain musics, they're being led to believe that this is real life and this is how you must live. I know myself, I'm 51 years old, and my time on this earth, back when I was in school, or even around your neighborhood, you had a problem, you settled it man to man or boy to boy, however you want to say it. And it wasn't about how strong that one finger right there is, or how fast that one finger is. Is that one finger strength and speed will get you killed or get you in prison, or both. Back when I was growing up, you had beef with somebody, you settled it with these. And I'm not saying it's right, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling anyone to fight. But at least if that's the way you had to handle situations, for the most part, nobody dies. You don't take a life, and your life's not taken. You learn lessons about everyday life, about living in general. But you live to continue that life and take those lessons that you learned and apply them to not get yourself in those situations again. Nowadays, it's all about pulling out a gun or pulling out a knife. And that's the way you want to settle things. In the long run, who really wins that game? That game of, well, I'm gonna handle it this way. I think with any common sense, will tell you nobody wins in that game. Sure, you may have taken someone's life that wronged you, but 9 out of 10 times, I like to say it's a little more than that, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. Eventually you're going to get caught. Then you're behind bars for the rest of your life. If you've never seen the things that go on inside of these prisons, I urge you to start looking at that as well. See if that's the way you think you want to live your life. And also, capital punishment. You may receive the death penalty. Choices you make that as simple and as quick as they may be, can mess up your life as well as someone else's, no matter which end of that boomstick you're on. There's ways to settle things. And I'm not saying you have to be a coward. Don't get me wrong. If somebody wrongs me and I have no other way but self-defense, then that's just going to have to be the way it's going to have to be. But there's ways, such as leaving other people alone. Our mental stability, our mental health anymore scares me. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what anyone else is thinking. I don't know what kind of day they're having. I don't know if they're Christian. I don't know if they're religious at all. What they study, what they believe. Because I promise you, there are people in this world right now that don't follow any religion. Some because they don't know any better, which is kind of hard to believe because it's everywhere. And there are some that refuse to believe religion, to believe Christianity, to believe the Bible and the words that are in it, God's words, Jesus' words. What I'm trying to say is it worth you keeping yourself in a position that you know is going to be troublesome? Is it really worth it? Or should you just walk away? Remove yourself from the situation. First of all, don't put yourself in those situations. When I say don't put yourself in those situations, I mean, you know, a lot of times where you should and shouldn't be, where you should and shouldn't be going, or going through for that matter. And you know a lot of times the people that are involved in things that will cause harm to others and so forth. Your best bet is to stay away from it. You don't have to worry about it. Times are drawing near. I never thought I'd say that. But in the last few years now, my thought track has changed. I started following the Bible, started following God, and my eyes have been opened. Yeah, anybody that's known me in the past knows that I'm telling you, preaching about things that I myself used to be involved in. Nothing major, nothing, I'm not hanging out with a bunch of gang bangers and stuff like that. Nothing like that. But I've been around. I've done things I shouldn't have. But I was lucky enough, or should I say I was blessed enough, for God to open my eyes and me to change. It's one thing when other people tell you when they see you that they've seen change. And you ask them, you kind of jokingly ask them, was that a good thing or a bad thing? And all of a sudden you see their face change. And they get really serious. And they said, no, it's definitely for the good. or they see you in a public place, business, whatever, and they look at you and they say something about you. It's almost like a glow. There's change in you, and I like what I'm seeing. That may be people that have always been Bible followers, God followers, Christians, or it may be just somebody that has no clue, but they still see it. That's a positive change any way you want to look at it. But I'll tell you, as a friend, a brother, a family member, relative, minister, volunteer firefighter, biker, truck driver, I will personally tell you, with change comes hardship. When you start changing your life, everything around you will change with your life. You're going to lose friends. You may even lose the closeness of relatives, brothers and sisters of clubs you're in, like my motorcycle club, brothers and sisters of the fire department. When you change your life, you start following God, you lose some of these things, some of these people. And as bad as you hate to, you realize that it may take a little time. There's going to be people that you're going to say, man, I sure miss so-and-so. Or I miss such and such. But after some time, you'll start seeing where maybe those people were meant to be in your life just long enough to teach you lessons. Everything in your life is pretty much a blessing in one way or another. Every situation you go through, every person you come across that you become close with in some fashion, everything and every person is one of two things. And many of you have heard this before and probably already know where I'm coming from. Each of these things are either a blessing or a lesson. And you've heard that, and you hear people say that, and that's where they leave it. My Bible tells me that everything that you go through in life is a blessing. Those lessons you learned are blessings. They have either taught you not to get in those situations, not to do those things, not to befriend certain people, and to strengthen you for what's to come. So whether you're looking at it as a blessing or a lesson, it's still a blessing. And I know that's hard to comprehend at times, It really is. It has been for me, but I understand now. Like I said, with time, your eyes open to seeing these things. There's been, just for instance, friends that I have lost or even just lost touch with that I got away from for whatever reason. They moved, I moved. I got, new friends that I care more about or what have you. I know that sounds bad, but I really don't know how to say it without putting it out that way. But for whatever reason, you just aren't on the same wavelength anymore. You just went your separate ways. And then a month or two, 6 months, a year down the line, you might see that person in the news. Wrong place, wrong time, lost their life, arrested, in prison, down on their luck, homeless. It could be any of these things. Even though he was your friend or she was your friend and you missed them terribly, you missed that closeness, that friendship, that person to talk with, hang out with, what have you. You know it was a blessing at that point where you see the situation they ended up in. And by God's grace, you're not in that situation with them. I don't know how you guys are. Everybody's different. But if me and you are really close, there's a really good chance we're going to hang out. There's a really good chance that we're going to just be out and about, and we may end up in some not so good places or not so good situations. But I personally hold dear my friendship, my relationships with people. Not as much as I hold dear my relationship with Jesus Christ, with the Lord. Don't get me wrong. Some people like to read into things too much, so I just want to get that out. But anybody that knows me knows if we're close, I care about you. And I don't want to I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation hanging out with someone that's going to do things that's going to get us in trouble. And that's just one of the examples that I could think of off the top of my head. As you can tell, this is not scripted. This is off the top of the head. Sometimes I do videos where I have notes where I've wrote down what I felt like I needed to say, because I do get tongue twisted. But what I was getting at was, blessing or lesson, either way, there's still a blessing. You may not know it, you may not understand it until one day something will snap and you realize it. That's the gist of what I wanted to really do with this video. Just have normal talk. I'm not preaching a sermon. I'm actually ministering in a way that I think will reach people simply. Not saying they're simple people, but in a way that people understand it really easily. This world we're living in is crazy. I know I never thought I'd see things like they are. Although through my life I've been in and out of church and I've heard it. But I guess I never really believed it. Now I do. I feel I lived the way I lived for years because that was part of my training per se. It was God's plan. I had to go through things to see things in my own way to understand what life is here on this earth. And then at a point, he says, okay, now it's time for you to see and understand what I wrote in my book. I'm sorry. It's time for you to understand what was written in my book. Because we all know he didn't write the book. But they are his words. So, yeah, changes definitely came. I continue to change. I continue to better myself. I continue to build my relationship with the Lord. I also continue to live. I continue to have friends. I continue as a truck driver, which is my bread and butter. This is what pays the bills. 30 some odd years now, 32, 3, somewhere along in there. I also continue to be a volunteer firefighter. And that I have contemplated giving up at the end of this year. But until God tells me, sends me a feeling that I need to leave it, I'll continue to do it. Or until I just can't anymore. You all know I had a ATV accident a few years back. I also had a bike accident where a deer took me out. So I ache. And then on top of, getting older, I have pains and aches. Can't do things quite like I used to. But I'm still able to do a lot more than some people are able to do. And that's a blessing as well. So I continue to do that as well. And like I said, I continue to grow my relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ and my ministry. I'll continue that as well. I'm not giving up on it. That's not what I feel like God wants me to do. Yeah, I have a strange way sometimes of reaching people. Sometimes people ask me, well, how can you continue to be in a bike club and minister? And unless you've been in one or around them and know, then you don't know this. There are multiple motorcycle club ministries. Also, my club is firefighter, EMT paramedic, Office of Emergency Management, military, and some civilians. Within our club, we have ministers, clergy, however you want to label it. We have all those in chapters all over as well. And in my heart, I've been sent the message from the Lord that He wants me to stay in my club, because I had also considered giving that up at one point in time. When it's time for me to leave, I'll leave. Firefighting, my club, trucking. When it comes time for me to leave, I'll know it's time and I'll leave. But until then, I'm not leaving. I can minister in this truck and the places that I go and deliver. I've done it. I've had some really good ministry sessions with people. And I'm not tooting my horn, don't think that. I'm just proving a point. I minister everywhere I go by the way I treat people, the way I portray myself. I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. Any minister, pastor, reverend, or anything such as that tells you any different than that, they're sinning right there in front of you, face to face with you, because nobody's perfect. And lying is a sin. So I'll continue to minister on this truck, with and around my club, in my fire department. I'm sure some of you are on my fire department's Facebook page. If not, and you'd like to be, it's a public page for anybody to see what's going on. We post training stuff, things that are going on in the community, our trucks, our stuff when we're training. We usually post pictures and stuff of that. Some of our calls, depending on the severity of the call, we may put bits and pieces of that up. But those of you that are already on the page probably know, some may not, that I'm one of the contributors to that page a lot of the time. And you'll notice that a lot of my posts end with, telling everybody God bless you and be safe and this, that, and the other. That's because I minister throughout my fire department, in my fire department, and throughout our Facebook page as well, in some shape, way, or form. Ministry don't mean standing up with a Bible in front of everybody and preaching to a congregation. Ministry, deaconship, pastoring, it's all about your life as a total. It's not one specific thing or the other. You're supposed to live your life every day to set an example and to minister to others in order to bring them closer to God, or bring them to God, and get that salvation that they're going to need, whether they feel it or not, whether they feel like they need it or not. In the end, it's going to be one way or the other. And this, what I'm about to say, is controversial to some. That's fine. But you're either going to heaven or you're going to hell. Some people don't believe in one or the other, or either. I do. The Bible speaks of both. And I know I don't want to spend eternity in hell. I want to spend my eternity in heaven, in peace, with no pains and no worries, with my Maker. You can do it as well. I don't care how many years you haven't believed. I don't care what you believed in, what religion you came from, that you didn't believe in God, or you believed in God, but you believed in multiple gods, or what have you. I don't care which way you came from. My Bible tells me there's only one creator and only one God. And that means a lot. That changed a lot of my thinking over the years. Because, yeah, I followed the Valhalla thing, the Norse, and I even looked into paganism at one point in time. Not even going to sit here and lie. But the fact is, my eyes were opened. And I'm on the right side now. And no matter what part you're from, where you're from, what you've been through, what you've done in your life, you can open your eyes as well. And that's one of the things that we try to do as Christians, is spread it and show people and open their eyes. But you have to look for yourself. You have to open your mind and your heart and let the Holy Spirit in. You have to ask for forgiveness. You have to ask for salvation. All right, I've been on this thing 42 minutes and some change. It's a little long, but that's what happens when I don't come up here often. I get a little long-winded. I got one more thing I wanted to point out or put out there. As ministers and pastors, reverends, deacons, as Christians, things aren't always lovely, flowers, smiles, and rainbows. We go through trials and tribulations as well. There are times when we are down. There are times when we just have a lot on our minds. Life in general still goes on. Whether you're reading that Bible, you're a Christian, you're a preacher, a minister, life still happens all the time. And with that being said, there are going to be times when we're not as bubbly or happy or smiles as you normally see us. And just as we pray for people every day, we need prayer too. Because we still have health to worry with, bills to worry about. Our life in general to have to deal with. The Bible doesn't say it's going to be easy. The Bible says there will be trials and tribulations. It doesn't say anywhere that just because you're a follower of God that life is going to be lovely. It's not. The devil's always working against you. He might not be finger touching you doing it, but he'll send somebody. He'll send situations your way that make life hard. But I ask you to keep the faith. That's what God says. You got to have faith. Things usually pan out. Might take a little while. You might go to the bottom. There's stories in the Bible about that as well. But eventually you're going to come up. And it's not the short term that you're working for. It's not the happiness of tomorrow that you're looking for. It's the happiness of when it's your time to leave this earth and go be with Him. Oh, what a day it'll be, as the song says. And I don't have to worry about being here no more, dealing with aches and pains, bills, worries. I look forward to it. But as I was saying, when you say your prayers, when you pray, say a little prayer for your preachers. I promise you, they want them just as much as you want them. When you felt sick, felt like you were about to die, and you were begging for prayers. You lost your little dog and you were begging for prayers. You got a hospital visit, doctor visit coming up, and you're begging for prayers. You want those prayers. Your pastors, preachers, reverends, ministers, we all want them to. Just because you see us, we're not all happy-go-lucky. All that means is we may be having a bad day. But we'll be okay. You guys have a great day. Sorry it's been so long. Like I said, things going on. When I feel like it's time for me to reach out, I reach out. Have a great day. Have a good weekend coming up. Find a church to go to Sunday. If you don't have one, come be with us at ours. Everybody's welcome. We don't care what walk of life you come from. I'm a member now, official member of Mercy Church in Hoskin, North Carolina. And we welcome everybody. And I don't mean just the religious. I don't mean the Christian. I mean everybody. If you've got something going on in your life, you're on drugs, you got an alcohol problem, you're homeless, whatever your situation is, it's not going to get no better without the good Lord in it, I promise you. It may get a little peppier than what you think what it is at that moment. But it ain't gonna get bad. It ain't gonna get good. I gotta run. You guys have a great day. God bless.